Welcome back to the Liberal Artist Podcast. I'm your host, evermore, ever always, Bodio Papula. With me today, as always, is Miss Kaylie Horowitz.
Howdy, howdy.
And Mr. Andy Gibson. Gibby.
Whoop, whoop.
What's good, everybody? How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? How you living?
I've just realized that the sound I make is probably more akin to Juggalos than any other kind of fandom.
Well,
because I just realized they also go whoop whoop, and I'm just like, shit, they're from Detroit too.
You gotta make it distinct. You gotta do the whoop, 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 whoop.
I gotta save myself with the Zoidberg rather than the Juggalo.
But why not Zoidberg?
I'd rather be a human crab man than mistaken for a fan of ICP.
Oh, any day.
we accept all types around here in liberal arts.
They're actually really nice. They do a lot of the singing and the talking about murder and stuff, but like they're surprisingly polite individuals. Huh. I think they spend too much money on makeup to spend it on anything dangerous.
I mean, that's sometimes it's all that happens when you really hobby like that. You just end up with, well, this is where I'm at, and I'm good with it.
Water, fire, air, and dirt. Fucking magnets. How do they work?
Juggalos are just goths who were given a 5-hour energy.
It's the same, like, ideological vein of cosplayers. You can't be upset when you're really into character and you just spend all your time and money building and making and painting your face to be that character.
I don't know, like, there's a difference, and it's that somehow I think Juggalos might still smell a little bit better than most cosplayers.
Oh, I'm sure, because they've at least figured out what the hell deodorant is. Have you been to a con?
Fair play.
God.
We are talking about several worlds that I have no idea about. I am lost.
Con funk is real, and it affects 1 out of every 5 cosplaying Americans.
Millions of people every year, Bo. They're subjected to chemical warfare.
If you or a loved one out there has been to a con and hasn't brought your deodorant, what the fuck is wrong with you? Take a shower. You smell.
This is the Cause Funk Law Firm. We handle millions of cases every year, and we only focus on con funk. It's like mesothelioma, but worse. Our lawyers are standing by right now.
And they're all in Ace Attorney cosplay.
Oh no! They've got to our lawyers! What do we do?
We know about con funk, because we've had con funk. You know, it's a good group of people that you're hanging out with when the places that you hang out hang warning signs that you need to have observed basic bodily hygiene to attend there.
I recently learned through meme posting groups that there were actually cons in California that banned Homestuck cosplayers way back in like 2013-14 because a bunch of them were being asshats and getting their gross gray body paint all over people's like white pristine costumes.
Oh no.
Because they were just doing it for shits and giggles. Like, we already have odors and like actual like hygiene problems here, and now you're adding this to the mix. What is wrong with you?
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
I do have one con question, and it's just because of some debate that I've seen recently.
Is it better than a pro question?
I liked
Piss, jeer.
I've been told that a fandom I'm not familiar with is the new Homestuck.
Oh boy, which one?
Because of how aggressive their fans are, and I'm not sure if we're ready for their fans to go to conventions and start some trouble. And that one is Genshin Impact.
Oh boy.
See, I thought you were gonna say the Dream SMP.
I don't know what that is.
There's a lot of words going around that I don't understand. Genshin Impact is a Chinese-made Japanese anime style.
Yes.
Breath of the Wild MMO. Built to steal money from you, but
yes.
It's got hella waifus, so the weebs are all about it.
That's what I've seen as the like supplicators, like, but waifus, hazubandos and waifus.
I feel like the guy at the end of Blade Runner, when I talk about what little I know of the Genshin Impact fandom, where it's just like, I've seen Twitter threads hundreds of miles long, all with no particular purpose, just weeb bullshit, like tears in the rain.
Accurate.
Time to die from secondhand embarrassment. All of this started because you brought up the war crimes committed by the Homestuck fandom.
I mean, they're at the center of everything. They are. Homestuck is at the center of every problem. That's my theory.
When you start your conversation talking about Juggalos, you, by law, have to go to some obscure places.
You really do. Although, to kind of segue into what we're supposed to, I guess, be talking about, there's always the fun thing about cons, are the cosplay meetups. And I swear I have seen, like, a DC Comics photo shoot get bombed by a small group of Homestuckers. And it was one of these, like, what a community we have here. Wonder Woman facing off against fucking Carcat and Gamzee.
She's the only one that can save us from eternal weebitude. And speaking of her...
No, hold on. We have to address what you just said. Weebitude?
Weebitude.
I don't know. I just wanted to come up with something that sounded, like, menacing but also cheesy.
Why does it sound like a visual novel title from Webtoons?
No, fucking stop. Never, not on my podcast. God damn it.
Stop whacking the desk. That's so hard to edit out. Damn it, that's my job.
A little audio theater for everybody.
Bodio's our Foley artist, if you couldn't tell.
We'll just set our ban list. We will never again say the word weebitude. We will never again talk about Juggalos or Homestuck.
I don't agree with that.
Are you sure? Yeah. I don't want to live in a world where this becomes a Homestuck podcast.
I'm starting every episode talking about Juggalos and Homestuck. Sorry.
I'm gonna keep a whiteboard back here of, like, all the words.
Oh, just the no-no list.
The no-no list. The banishment list.
Oh, let's just get to the topic.
Yeah, I'm stopping it. I'm stopping it here.
Thank you for not slapping the desk.
I'm stopping it here. Boom.
Your hand was about to come crashing down with the judge's gavel, but then it just calmly caressed your notes.
A light tap.
Yeah. So let's overanalyze some shit. We have two wonderful movies we're putting head to head today. Two wonderful, beautiful.
Wonderful.
Oh man, I'm awesome. Two wonderful, glorious, beautiful movies. Question mark?
Arguably two of the best movies that the DCU has put out into their film canon.
Wow, there's a statement.
I mean, no, it's that, like, they have had some good, successful movies, but in the period of time where they have been like, we're gonna take Marvel on in their cinematic universe, arguably these have been two of the most successful in this gambit.
The bar for a good DC movie is so low that it could be used in a championship limbo tournament.
It's that, like, I don't love to hate it, but it is funny to me that in their title sequencing, they're still keeping Green Lantern as one of those characters that they have in the, like, title card.
Oh, those poor green bastards.
Ryan Reynolds doesn't deserve this.
We've been teasing the audience long enough. We are talking about two Wonder Woman movies. Wonder Woman, created in 2017, and its sequel, Wonder Woman 84. I forced my friends to watch these movies that they had no interest in watching, because that is the power I have.
I had an interest.
I watched the 2017 Wonder Woman when it came out, and I really liked it. Like, I thought at the time, like, this is the first good DC movie of, you know, the DC extended universe kind of trend,
right.
and the whole overarching plot. And I was just like, wow, if they keep this up, this could be really good. They didn't.
And they didn't.
And they didn't. And because of such, that's why I had no interest in Wonder Woman 1984. I saw the poster and I went, that's a really cool poster. And I didn't think about it ever again until this Thursday when Bo said, we're talking about Wonder Woman. And I said, okay.
I mean, to be fair, it's a pretty sweet poster. It's that nice, like, they hit the 80s color palette. That nice, like, blend of colors.
With, like, the chrome rainbows and stuff coming down. She's wearing the gold armor.
That teal and purple and pink and blues in the right places. And you, again, contrasting that gold and red. You're like, oh. Mwah.
It's so cool. And it was the only thing I liked about the movie. So let's give it a little bit. Let's give both of them a little bit more introduction.
I think that about does it.
No, that does it.
For the liberal artists, I'm Andy.
So we have Gibby's thoughts on at least Wonder Woman 84.
Pretty colors.
Kaylie, how did you feel about? Or are you talking about 84? How'd you feel about Wonder Woman 84?
I was thinking this, like, obviously thinking this over before we started recording, but, like,
I would hope so.
I was trying to figure out, like, where at the moment, without having had this echo chamber to bounce off ideas, like, where individually I've sat the two, and I think arguably I've sat 84 slightly above Wonder Woman. My problem is that I have a very heavy Marvel bias. Sure. I'm not a huge comics person, but I very much fell in love with the MCU with Iron Man. And I've been, like, following this shit ever since. Like, I've never really been particularly interested in the DC stuff just because it was, like, again, up until Wonder Woman, it was always this, it's darker, it's grittier, it tries to be more realistic, but leaning into that, like, realism that the comics use, so it's still a little exaggerated.
Sure.
But, like, it was never something that was particularly my cup of tea. But watching Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 84 back to back, I could not, like, escape thinking of Captain America First Avenger and then Captain America Winter Soldier, which arguably are two of the best jumps from introduction movie and origin story to outstanding sequel. And I think, like, not just the fact, like, yeah, Diana's kind of that person out of time kind of character, but, like, they handle very similar elements exceptionally well. And I think that's more of just a, like, no, they did a very good job in that, like, we're going to make this world that is very far removed from our own still make sense, and especially for the circumstances of this extraordinary character. And then we're going to expand it in very, very particular ways that speak to what this character is driven by and what they stand for and what they have to come to terms with in this new world. Sort of like there's only sort of small things here and there that I was like, okay. But, like, overall, I thought both of them were very well done.
So, Bo, what interested you in talking about these movies? Had you just recently watched them and that's why you wanted to bring it on the show, or did you have a lot of discourse?
I needed a fucking excuse to watch Wonder Woman 84, if I'm going to be completely honest. I've always been a big superhero comic book fan since I was a wee lad, a wee boy. And I remember, I also saw the first Wonder Woman movie back in 2017 when it first came out. And I remember that Wonder Woman felt different. Not because it's, like, exceptional anyway. Wonder Woman's one of those movies that doesn't do anything new except one thing. But everything it does extremely well and with purpose. Like I was watching it. The last thing I have written in my notes is like, they let people be cool in this movie. Like, this movie's just cool as shit. Diana kicks ass up and down. Steve Trevor and the Soldier Boys get to actually kick ass. There's all these, like, the fucking Amazons and Themyscira are cool as shit. I want to go training with Robin Wright for the rest of my adolescence and become half of a badass. You know what I'm saying?
Just half of one.
Just half of one. I don't think
either the bad or the ass. One of the
yeah. One or the other. Not
if you're
both.
the ass, do you get an exceptional ass though? Because I'll take that. I don't need to be bad. I'll just take the ass.
That's America's ass right there.
That's America's ass.
But I remember just being like astounded with the movie for that reason, and then having the female protagonist is what really like drove it, made it feel different. And so I wanted to see how Wonder Woman 84 held up, because it's one of those things, right? When you have a really powerful piece, a really powerful media piece, whether it's a play, song, whatever, when you create a sequel to it that nobody asked for, the hardest thing you have to do is justify your existence.
Yep.
I'll say how I feel about Wonder Woman 84 this way. Why did it take place in the year 1984?
Because that's easy, and there's no political whatever that we have to worry about. Cold War,
no,
what's that?
I was gonna say it's arguably a very good year to place a character like Diana in, because of just there is so much about the 80s, I think, that's like finally starting to come back into popular culture of like, hey, we should talk about this. Not just like nostalgia for the 80s, but like, no, there's a lot of things we can trace that are wrong today because of this.
So maybe you saw something that I didn't, Kaylie. What were some of those things that like specifically stand out in the 80s?
One of the things that always just stands out to me about anything 80s, and especially anything about like heavy 80s culture, not just we are here in the 80s like Stranger Things does. There are things that take place in the 80s and it's fun for the nostalgia factor. But then you get stuff like this that are like, no, we are critically looking at 80s culture and the problems we have today in American politics especially, and like American culture and the odds that we're at come from the 80s, come from Cold War mentality, come from Reaganism, come from this idea that we get first thing in 1984. Like, we get our little introduction, which is one of those things where I'm like, it's nice to see these characters again and to see the island and to see like a really kick-ass like little fucking triathlon sequence. But it's that, like, it's arguably anecdotal, and you can already tell in just that, and by the end of that moment, like, what the themes are gonna be about. So you're primed and you're ready. Great. That was kind of like, okay. Once we get into the 80s, the first thing we get is Max Lord going, well, like, the world we live in is great, but it can be better. And we get this barrage of imagery coupled with his televised spiel about wanting more, getting more, doing bigger, going farther. This is a company from the people, for the people. We're all in this together to go get rich quick, go be successful, on top of like all these images of kids in fast cars and shopping, and like just 80s consumerism was on another level.
Life is good, but it can be better.
That I feel like it gets glorified in a lot of media and not critiqued, because that ultimately becomes the crux of this movie's problem, is when is more enough? Is it ever enough? Can it stop being about more?
Kaylie, I'm pretty sure the problem was nothing good ever comes from lies.
I mean, that
it's
too.
Very subtle. It's very subtle the way that they introduce that.
Yeah.
So I want to circle back to the opening sequence, because we're just going in it. Let's talk about themes. The overlaying themes of this movie make no sense to me, right? The Themyscira scene was like cool and fun, but like,
we've done it.
No, well, yes, we've done it first, but like we get to the end of it, and Robin Wright's like, "No, you cheated." I'm like, "Wait, hold on, time out. We're doing this thing that we, the audience, don't know what it is or what's going on." And it didn't look to me like she cheated. She's just like, "Oh, she fell off her horse," but she like did a cool thing, like, "Haha, you fucking cheated." It's like, no, she didn't. What? What are the rules?
Somebody didn't listen to Bear Grylls with improvise, adapt, overcome.
But fucking right. They're like, "You cheated and you're not ready yet, and you'll be ready one day." But it's like, she didn't. Did she cheat? What are they even doing here?
She didn't. How do we know she cheated? They didn't say you had to shoot the arrows. And also, it's dick move to like yank this child out of the. Let her finish and then go, "But you're disqualified."
12. She's 12, Claire Underwood. She's 12.
As opposed to just yoink.
She's 12, the Princess Bride. Give her some slack.
Which is such a like, oh my god, that is you. Wow.
Robin Wright rules. I'll keep saying it.
She has aged like a god.
She is an Amazon. She is immortal.
What perfect casting. She's immortal.
But then we fast forward to the end of the movie, and I understand that the moral is don't lie or cheat or whatever, but nobody lies. Max Lord convinces people to tell him, "Hey, tell me what you actually wish for," right? And like of the characters who actually matter, right? Dr. Minerva wishes to be a better person. Max Lord's kid wishes that he was great. Diana wishes for her dead boyfriend back. And I'm like, okay, is the moral here, hey, kids, don't wish for shit. That's cheating. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just, I was so confused at the end of the movie. Because I was like, what am I don't understand what I'm supposed to take away from this. You know what I mean?
And I think it's a two-hander. Sorry, no, I've been Gibby going. Go, go, go.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Thank you.
It's just end tweet, send tweet. I think it's that like I think it's some like convoluted way of saying like you can't cheat, you know, with a magical MacGuffin to get what you want because sometimes you just can't get it, and which doesn't make a lot of sense. Am I dumb? Was I just too dumb for a superhero movie?
Nobody wished for anything. Nobody important wished for anything selfish. Even in the end game, when like everybody was making the wishes, which if he could just like ask people shit in a broadcast, why was he going out of his way to put his hands on motherfuckers?
No, it was because the particles. That's what he needed. He needed a specific.
That's not how that fucking works.
I don't know the physics of that. That could be a whole separate issue.
Hey,
but
you know the physics of that? There aren't. Moving on.
This is why we have an engineer in the liberal artists.
I think my biggest problem with Wonder Woman 84 is why I think the original Wonder Woman is so successful. The original Wonder Woman has two things: purpose and consequences.
Yep.
Despite the fact that Wonder Woman 84 is just like, oh, the monkey's paw. Wonder Woman starts off, introduces the world, and then creates something new. You have the intrusion of our world into it and the consequence of bringing that violence created by like patriarchal leadership and stupid nationalism and everything. And it immediately takes effect. You have these incredible Amazonians, these Amazons who are incredible combatants and warriors, and instantly you see that there's an issue because they're gunned down. They have been invaded by the violence of another world. And very quickly, Diana sees it as her purpose. She sees that it's her destiny to go out and stop this war that has not only affected her people, but she learns will quickly affect millions of other people. There's purpose there. She has a goal, and there are stakes because people die in the first Wonder Woman movie. And people die pretty early. The stakes are set before the end of Act 1. And that's what creates tension, that's what creates importance, and that's what helps build to that purpose. I don't know what the point of most things are in Wonder Woman 84, and it feels, this is gonna be harsh, so much of Wonder Woman 84 feels like a goddamn Mighty Morphin Power Rangers episode. From the tone to the lack of, like, direction, you know that things are going to end with a big ol' fisticuffs and whatnot, but anything that happens before then feels like it doesn't matter. They get to the mall scene. I swear to God, I thought Bulk and Skull were gonna walk on the screen as soon as some guy in shoulder pads
with a pompadour and a beer belly
and his gang walk to a jewelry store and go,
word is on the street, you got a nice little black market side business going on back there.
I was just like, I can't believe people paid $30 to watch this movie. Yeah. I can't believe that I couldn't even rent this goddamn movie on iTunes. It was buy only.
Ugh.
So I went in heated with this anti-consumer bullshit already. And Bulk and fucking Skull walk onto my screen in their shoulder pads and they go, hey, I heard there's some black market dealings going on. Mind if I yoink them? And the tone for a while just stays so Saturday morning cartoon. A movie ago, I had this impactful atmosphere and drive and just everything with the World War I backdrop as well as Diana's determination, and then Wonder Woman 84 just feels like a damn Saturday morning cartoon. I'm sorry, I'm just somebody else please go.
No, I mean, I see, that's the thing. I don't necessarily, I consider it a problem, but I don't consider it a problem just with 84 because again, like the Act 1 of Wonder Woman exactly sets the world that we're starting in and shows the disparaging difference between the outside world and what Diana has grown up with, but still her strong desire to persist and to seek justice. And it does set those stakes beautifully. But then from that point on, when they leave, basically until they're like the trench scene, it feels the same to me. It feels like that cartoon like Saturday morning cartoon comic book. It feels like we're trying to ground this, but we don't know how to realistically ground this, so we're gonna make our own reality that's very much like our own, but allows for these circumstances to occur.
I'm actually kind of on Gibby's side on this one. With 84, about an hour 15 in, there's a hard tonal shift.
Yep.
Like just look at the opening, both open on Themyscira, but in 84 we are immediately hit with Wonder Woman zipping around DC like she's fucking Spider-Man, like saving people, even though she's like also like keep it a secret. It's like you can't do this and be a secret.
I'll throw you into the teddy bear. Whoopsie.
Right.
Yeah.
That stupid little girl who jumped in front of a firefight to be like, wow! I'm like, okay, hold
I keep
on.
expecting, watching that scene, I was just like, I was mad watching a fun action scene because I kept expecting a damn Scooby-Doo bongo just to pop in at any time.
I just thought it was hysterical that this man's like bungled a jewelry heist, and so he threatened a child. Like, how do you panic that badly?
Sure, but the problem is 84 doesn't commit to that, right? Like after they're like, okay, Max Lord is the real main bad guy.
Yeah.
That's when they're like, okay, now we're on that kind of serious tone. Wonder Woman 2017 does have a slight tonal shift, but I think the biggest way you can compare it to is how the two, here I go with my penis, how the two do men.
Yeah.
Right? In Wonder Woman 2017, the men are assholes. but they're still like realistic. They're like politicians. They're men in power. They do assassins, whatever the fuck. In 84, they're fucking cartoon characters.
Yes.
Up until they don't matter anymore, and we're like in the plot, right? Like they're just like dude bros with their collars popped way up. Like, hey, where you going, sexy lady? Just to get bodied by Diana later, like
or by Barbara, otherwise known as the Rum Tum Tugger.
What?
And other Cats references that I can make.
Okay.
Bo, if you don't know, you never need to, and I hope you never do.
That could be a horrifying drunk episode of Liberal Artists if we ever review Cats.
Look,
oh my God.
I'm just gonna be making a lot of Cats character references whenever we talk about the cheetah.
Every time they say Barbara, though, like every time Diana is like dramatically Barbara, I keep in the back of my mind it's Barbara Manatee.
So I think you're totally right, Bo, in that like there is it's not overly heavy in Wonder Woman 2017. It's never like forgetting that it's a superhero movie, but there's like an element of seriousness to the characters. They're assholes, but like it's World War One. Of course they're going to be assholes, but they're still going to have some character and some humanity to an extent. 84, it feels like you're absolutely right. They are Saturday morning cartoon villains, from Max Lord, who was absolutely a Captain Planet villain at one point or another, to Squeezy Magoo in the trench coat on the street corner, to Shoulder Pads, who is here to do some black market deals at the mall. It really doesn't feel like it has that element of realism to it. And I know it's the 80s, it's Miami Vice, everybody's coked up, there's an element of silliness to it, but so much so that I think it bleeds into like the background characters. The way I just watched people move, the way that I just saw how the extras were directed to move and act and emote, it felt like Power Rangers, where you just see a guy going up the escalator. Oh, but it's a down escalator, but he's running up. Whoa!
Which, okay, that was fucking hysterical.
It was. I'm with Kaylee's side on this one. But also, if you're gonna do that, commit to it, right? You got 3 hours of movie. If that's the tone you're setting, go for it. Like I want fucking bad puns. I want Diana like thumbs upping to the camera every time she saves a 6 brown kid. Like I want that whole shit. I want the whole shebang.
Yeah.
Don't give up halfway through and be like, okay, now we're serious superhero movie. I have to die, you know, all that shit.
At the core of it all for me is tone. Wonder Woman 2017 has a consistent tone. It can wave a little bit here and there, like when you want to play the fish out of a water story, and it makes sense because she's a god, so it makes sense. Mm-hmm. But in 1984, it just hits a right angle so hard that you could make shoulder pads out of it.
Okay, I think, oh gosh, this is so funny to me, just like where I sit in relation to this. Because I absolutely I think both movies play every man as a caricature. Arguably, except for Trevor, because he needs to not be, because love interest.
He has to be the perfect girlfriend.
He does. He has to be the perfect girlfriend, because we fucking love a movie with the female gaze, because that's what stands out the most for both of these to me, is that we are in 2 different time periods, but arguably, in the grand scheme of things, not much has changed. Like, at a cultural level, not much has changed.
Speak a little more on that, Kaylie, because that's a viewpoint Gibby and I can't take, obviously.
And shouldn't speak on.
The thing that I kept hearing about these were like, feminism, yeah, girls, pussy power, like, and I'm like, okay, what do they do then? What are they doing? And I think Andy hits the nail on the head that the first one does its story very well, but there's nothing like excitingly new for most of it. But the things it does bring in, it does them very well. And
that was Bo's point.
I thought you?
Nah, dude.
I thought you had said it.
You're the white man. You take credit for that shit,
Bo,
dude.
we've done that enough. We already stole rock and roll. We already stole fashion. We stole jazz. We stole weed. Like we've stolen everything, man. I'm good.
I have shit for brains memory, so I could just be completely like, who said this again? Where am I?
Who invented rock and roll? Oh yeah, that was Elvis.
It was Marty McFly.
I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet. But your kids are gonna love it.
No, but like that idea that the first one, I think that story is a lot more solid than Wonder Woman 84, absolutely. But it's that like I don't think there was one moment where there was a male character that wasn't an archetype, or at least a collective. And I think the same can be said about the women too, where it's that like, I'm glad we get to see what that society is like comparatively, because that's what really drives home the impact of how we understand Diana's naivety and her understanding of the world, coming from a society of all of these women sort of going like, yeah, like, there are things that can go wrong, but like, this is how we should look at the world and we can make this better. And it's not like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And then like the thing that struck me first and foremost in the first movie was when the boat crew finds where they had been chasing Trevor. And it's just this like barrage of men all in these boats, just men, soldiers, and it's not like, oh god. Like it's the soldiers on the boat, it's all the old white dudes in Parliament, it's all of the military camps, and it's this like, okay, clearly you are making a point to show the way these men behave in predominantly masculine groups and how the presence of a woman changes that and makes them uncomfortable, but not in a way that obviously they can admit, and it has to be reflected back onto the woman.
Yeah.
Why they're like, we can't talk about things, she's standing in the room.
Not just that, a woman acting in a masculine way.
That too. And I do really much like in the conversation that he's having with her as they're like rushing through the streets in London, and she's asking these questions point blank, which are like, no, these are the correct questions to be asking of like, why does he do that? Why women don't fight? What are you talking about? But it's that like, he can't answer these. And it's that unfortunate sort of thing of like, well, we don't have time to unpack all that.
Yeah.
Because she's right. It's a very simple question that, because we've had these patriarchal societies, have built all these complexities on top of that make it this like, why are we doing this except for your comfort? Shit. Fast forward to 84, and like, not necessarily that structure exists, but that idea still exists. Like, you've got these caricatures of men harassing women, like catcalling them and being general asshats. You have the corporate sleazebags, you've got the con man, the charmer, the more subtle ways, not technically really, but like more subdued.
You know,
at
the body
least.
snatched guy.
Yeah.
That one guy who always gets his body snatched so that an old lover can have
Oh my god, that was
his
so
body
creepy.
for a
I was
while.
like, I'm not on board with this.
Yeah.
I was never on board with it. I think that was an uncomfortable thing of just like, you could have just had, like, I could have bought that this was Steve Trevor, but you just had to bring Chris Pine back. Now it's even creepier that she's just projecting his face onto this man the entire time.
Yeah.
I'm concerned.
The director of this movie, Patty Jenkins, people have actually like, she's apologized and like acknowledged that, because it's like, yeah, there's a conversation about consent in there that we didn't have.
84, I guess, just to wrap up what I was trying to say, 84 has these structures in place still They are still there in more minute, smaller places of control, but unfortunately, those smaller nexuses have larger spheres of influence. And it's still that, like, we are still objectifying women. We are still, like, this is the 80s. This is your Dolly Parton 9 to 5. We are going to be in the workplace because we demand it and we want it, but we are going to get treated like shit for being here. God damn it.
Yeah, you kind of skirted on talking about characters, and I wanted to transition to that.
Yeah.
One of the things I think 84 actually did mostly better than Wonder Woman 2017 was there are a handful of characters that there's one character who I fucking love. Kristen Wiig is also rad.
Yes.
Almost as cool as Robin Wright. Sorry, Miss Wiig. I just wanted the entire movie to be about Dr. Minerva. Like, quite honestly, I think because in 2017 nobody fucking matters other than Diana, right? It's her movie. It's her coming out party. So other people exist and they get to have their moments, but they're not important to it.
And it's that unfortunate, like, the only other prominent woman outside of the Mascara is our scientist, is our gas doctor. And she's terrifying. She is chillingly terrifying.
I will say to that, though, this is where my DC nerd comes in.
Yeah.
Dr. Moreau is a very obscure Wonder Woman bad guy who was created to be her antithesis.
Right.
So, like, even the inclusion of her, I was like, oh, yes!
But it's that, like, unfortunate she just becomes a tool of the man in power. And I was like, God damn it. I was hoping that I was really hoping that she was going to be Ares. That was my goal.
Yeah.
That was my, like, oh, this would be so good that it's not the general, it's her.
Just the mustache guy. I have some thoughts about Kristen Wiig's character of Barbara, also known as the Cheetah.
Barbara Minerva.
I was really hoping that somehow there would be a tie-in between that and Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar.
Oh my God.
The one random Hulu comedy that she's in, where she's just like, I don't want to be a supervillain anymore. I'm going to go on vacation with one of my gal pals. It does the very 80s trope of, I'm the frumpy, nerdy girl. I'm very smart. I wear glasses. But as soon as whatever inciting incident happens, I take off my glasses and I wear some makeup and I'm a completely different person. Ha! And I was just like, I don't know how I feel about
I'd argue, like, going on to the idea of, like, the confusion of the message of 84, because I agree. I'm like, I think there's one, but I can't tell if I'm just trying to find meaning in something because I'm human and I want there to be meaning. But the idea that wishing for something, wishing for you to be a better person, wishing that you were more confident or more sure of yourself is not the bad thing, because when she's her best, she hasn't changed all that much. She wears clothes that flatter her body and, like, styles her hair just a little bit differently. And it's that, like, that's it. Like, they didn't get rid of her glasses until, like, halfway through. Like, and they make a point to say that, like, don't even need these to read anymore. What do you know? And I'm like, okay, that's a little BS. And also sort of more indicator of, oh, you're stealing powers. Interesting. But it's still that, like, when she's her best self, she isn't all that different. She's just more self-assured. And it's the corruption of that power that leads to the horrible trope.
And I think that's a much interesting story, especially when put up against someone like Wonder Woman, who is the perfect woman, right? As opposed to oil tycoon starts to take over the world over the power of wishes.
Yeah, hold up for a second here. How is this man a failed oil tycoon?
Right.
That does not exist. That is the most ridiculous thing in the entire DC universe. Not like the airbrushed CGI mustache on Henry Cavill's face in Justice League. Not like people having been assumed that they'll care about Steppenwolf, like the 13th most impressive Omega villain in the DC extended. I was a huge DC fan. Who the fuck is Steppenwolf? No, the most ridiculous thing is that there would be a failed oil tycoon. That is impossible to fail.
That said, though, he has one of, I think, the coolest supervillain powers that's laid in a movie because it's passive.
Yes.
Right? He doesn't get to impose his will on people. He has to convince people to tell him what they think or what he wants them to say. And
I really love that in a movie about a MacGuffin, you still have a MacGuffin, but you don't have the object anymore, which was a very, I was like, okay, no, props to y'all. Good on you, because it's so easy to just, and now we're going to take it back. But, right off the bat, he's like...
MacGuffin, destroyer of plot.
Yeah, I mean, it's that, okay, now how do you handle it? But as far as being an easy solution, oh, this just got more complicated now. Okay.
That being said, I think it's impossible to talk about superhero movies and not talk about the last 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Specifically, Black Panther. Black Panther did Killmonger. And Killmonger was one of those first really big budget movies where you saw the villain and you're like, yeah, I get it. I don't need that for every movie. I didn't need to see Max Lord being a single dad. I didn't need to see him trying to be a human being. He could have just been a dick. You could shave 30 minutes off of this movie and get the same results, right? And I actually think it's a stronger movie if you shave all the stuff with his Asian son.
Release the Jenkins cut.
But I yearn for just, this guy's an asshole.
Yeah.
Somebody's about to beat him up, and then the real dynamic. And I'll say this over and over again. I think there's such a stronger story talking about the perfect woman versus the woman who wants to be perfect, and the woman who wants to be perfect rising, corrupting, and them clashing heads. Also, this is me. Let me hop on my soapbox real quick. Movie producers, anybody who's gonna recreate superhero anime shit. The half animal people, stop making them.
They're just trying to make more furries.
They look, it never looks good. When she was wearing a cheetah print jacket, I was like, all right, cool, that's all we need, right? Yep. She's cheetah. It never works. It's never good. Please stop.
I have very strong feelings about this, and no, not in a furry sense.
Well,
don't you even dare in the public
you're
eye
the one who mentioned
Big Show.
Omega earlier.
Son of a bitch. She got me. They got Miguel. Anyways.
Gibby believes Omegaverse confirmed.
Oh, God, have mercy upon my soul. Anyways, the cheetah, by a design standpoint, I think you can only go full animalistic if it's an animated medium. I think Justice League and Justice League Unlimited did a really good job of representing this character, having been an incredible scientist who's a victim of her work but takes revenge upon others. She's fully formed, she's covered in fur, she's still got the human eyes, but she's got a more feline shaped head, she's got more of the feline ears and everything. And it makes sense, but only in an animated medium, because for as incredible as technology is, we are not good at fur on people in real life.
No.
Learn from the hubris of cats, damn it. Learn from their monument to failure, damn it all to hell. If the greatest CGI experts in the state of California can't pull it off, you cannot. Stop doing it. Give her the cool cheetah jacket, maybe a little bit of claws, and maybe a little bit of teeth and all that. The smoky eyeshadow, awesome. Like, era appropriate and everything. But when she turns into the apex predator, I so wish that meant she had turned into Randy Orton instead of the Joanne's Craft abomination that we saw on our screens with that damn tail, and everything's just wrong. It's just wrong.
I disagree.
They're making Gibby angry.
I disagree. It's full Josie and the Pussycats leotard or nothing.
Somehow you make me question your taste with every disagreement you have tonight, Kaylie. I'm sorry. I respect you as an artist and a creator so highly, but you're hurting me so much.
Josie and
Art
the
is subjective, but you are wrong.
Ladies first. Takeaways and review in overall review, Kaylie.
I think, and this ties into what we were talking about with Max Lord's whole arc. I agree there's a lot that we could probably trim out of 84, and there's a lot that could also come out of Wonder Woman too. Like, there, for as much as I'm like, God, the Marvel movies go on for fucking ever. DC just sort of, you feel it a little bit more. I think you get rewarded for sticking around. Like, there was just that whole time in 84 where I'm like, we're on an espionage quest, and it's interesting, but we're just talking and then going and talking and then going. And then we get the Cairo car chase, and I'm like, oh shit, this is great. Oh my God. But there's a lot that can come out, but there's also a lot I think that I like about the Max Lord's relationship with his son that I think speaks more to the bigger issue of the 80s culture that is so integral to this movie. Like, it's not a Wonder Woman movie. It's much more about how do we as Americans handle what came from this? And that idea that, like, this was a time where the things that we get stuck with today came from shitty circumstances and gilded garbage, more or less. And it's opening that up, processing that, and working through that knowledge and that, you know, the truth that makes it able to break, that makes it so that you can step away from those systems of, this was not good for anybody involved, actually. I thought it was good for myself, and it wasn't at all. That I think that helps tie it to that, like, no good can come from lying, that you can wish for something, but only wishing and lying to yourself through that wishful fulfillment is what weakens what you are capable of or what you can do together. I think, like, it's that double-handedness in 84, I think. Whereas first Wonder Woman is just, it is such a good origin story and such a powerful, like, how do you overcome all odds and how do you find yourself in a world that is out to get you?
So would you suggest these movies to people? Would you tell people to watch these?
Oh yeah, but both of them I would absolutely recommend.
Gibby, go for it.
The writers of this movie owe you a nice dinner for making sense of their theme.
Oh no, I'm sure I'm like reaching for straws, whereas I'm sure that was probably a like, we can futz it. We don't have to make it a clear through line.
What you said made sense. And I would not have I would not know the map quest from A to B had you not given it to me. I very much like the first Wonder Woman movie. And I think beyond, it following a direct and purposeful plot, what I love about it is the tone and the idea of what if a god fell to Earth. It the whole movie feels like there is somebody who is beyond a human interacting with normal people. Even, high-level generals, even high-level political figures. This is somebody who radiates divinity, who is beyond all of them, in the way she fights, in the way she is portrayed on camera, and in the way that she just observes the world around her. And I love the tone, I love the style, I love just the tension and the impact of it. And with Wonder Woman 1984, I just don't get any of that. It feels... I couldn't even concentrate on, what the movie was trying to tell me, because there were just so many little aesthetic and stylistic things that just bothered me. And I just couldn't get it out of my craw. And I hate the fact that this movie is the first ever time that I saw my fantasy boyfriend Pedro Pascal in a role that I don't like him in. I'm a straight man, but in an alternate universe, that's my man right there.
He's a pretty dude.
He is a pretty dude. He was Oberyn. He is the Mandalorian. And this is the first time where I was just like, you did a bad job, honey. You can sleep on the couch tonight.
Ooh, betrayal.
But they didn't give him much a chance. They didn't give many of these people much a chance because the writing wasn't very purposeful, and a lot of stuff happens without really much a point to it, just like almost every other damn DC extended universe movie. I'm disappointed in you, DC, as I point to my large volume of DC trade paperbacks. Think about what you've done before you mess up The Flash.
Too late.
So, would you recommend these movies to people?
Oh, Wonder Woman 2017, absolutely. I'm more of a disappointed parent with Wonder Woman 1984. It's like I had 6 kids and only one of them turned out good. Meanwhile, my sister had the whole Dark Knight trilogy, and she's doing pretty damn good.
So for me, Wonder Woman with 84, it's too long.
Yep.
The message isn't really clear. That being said, I don't think this movie is half as bad as people think it is. This movie's fine, but it just isn't better than Wonder Woman 2017. Wonder Woman 2017 is the best Superman movie I think we're gonna get.
Yep.
It's a great origin story. It's a fun movie. It's badass.
Sorry, Henry.
Yeah, sorry, Henry. Your movies are trash. Witcher is cool, though.
Witcher, mwah, beautiful.
Either way, Wonder Woman 2017 is always going to be a good time. Wonder Woman 84, it's going to be good enough. Maybe not by yourself, maybe with a couple friends and a couple brews. Yeah. Check that one out. But I'd recommend both of these movies. Easy, no problem.
It's got the Invisible Jet. It's got Linda Carter. If you like those things, you'll like it.
Wonder Woman! Wonder Woman!
Hey, we appreciate y'all joining us for this ride, for this journey.
I won't be so mad the next time.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
On the next episode, we work as hard as we can to piss off Gibby. Thanks for coming by. Peace!
The Liberal Artists Podcast premieres every other Thursday on your favourite podcasting platform. The show is hosted by Bodio, Kaylie Horowitz, and Andy Gibson. You can find the show at LibArtistsPod on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks to Whitehot for performing the theme song Reflect, which can be found on freebeats.io. Now, I'm off to go exploring, and maybe, just maybe, I'll find a sheep that I can call my own. Good day.
The Emperor's New Groove meme group that I'm in on Facebook has entered.
That is so damn specific.
It is. I am in some very specific groups. I've told you this. I have like a whole list of these niche groups.